Hey TFC community and anyone else who's listening, Nick here from Ottawa, and I'd like to share some thoughts today about why your feet are important and why you should care about taking care of them. So I think a good place to start is the fact that I didn't always care about feet. I didn't always think feet were important. Certainly coming out of physio school, I had no idea the feet were such an important body part and deserved some attention. And so I often try to think of what made me want to take care of my feet, what made me want to follow my sort of path of inquiry, to be curious about, should I be taking better care of my feet? Are my feet becoming a problem? Are the shoes I'm wearing a problem for the health of my feet? And this was probably about 5 years ago, and I realized that curiosity started from just spending time barefoot at a cottage and realizing how good it felt to have texture on my feet, and how quickly, I was at a cottage for I think 2 days, and on day one I took my shoes off and walked on gravel, and it felt like I was walking on spears. It was almost unbearable, and I just kind of sat with it and kept going with it, was very mindful and careful. And then by day two I was literally walking and almost completely forgetting that I was on gravel. So it just blew my mind as a physio how quickly the body adapted to recalibrating the data it was getting from the ground. And it really reinforced sort of three things I want to talk about today in terms of the importance of the feet and reasons why you should care about your feet. And they are your feet as a foundation, your feet as a sensor, and your feet as a key to independence. So your feet as a foundation. I think when people say, well, why should I care about my feet? I typically start with saying, well, if you're looking at your body as a project that you're building over time, that you're strengthening, that you're improving capacity with, it's kind of like an engineer taking on a project to build a building. And I think we would all agree that if the engineer put plans together for that building and never even thought about or cared about or wrote anything down about the foundation of the building, we would think that that's a big missing element, right? And we know that intuitively, but we don't really connect the dots into thinking that our feet are our foundation. It's what everything else in our bodies rest upon. Our feet are the primary interaction channel between us and the ground below us, which is a very important interface if you want to perform well or if you just don't want to get hurt. And so not caring about your feet is like not caring about your foundation. And it's, it ends up being a very big weak point for people because it's just not in their awareness, right? I think we wear shoes so much, the old saying, out of sight, out of mind, really holds true, where you can almost forget that you have feet, right? If all you see is shoes all the time, you can almost start to think, I just have shoes, and forget about the feet underneath or within those shoes. So your feet are your foundation. They're a very important element for structural integrity for your whole body. It's why when we as foot nerds have the conversation about health, we always start with feet, because that's sort of the interface between you and the external environment. It's the foundation for your body. It's a great place to start to sort of build up from. Number two is your feet as a sensor. Their role is to take in sensory input about the environment that you're interacting with. Texture, angles, information, right? Information that then gets sent to your brain to process and to be used to create movement outputs, to guide better movement, to guide more efficient movement, more stronger movement, better stability, better hip function. All these things are basically trickle-down effects of the input you're getting from the ground. And if you cover your foot in a shoe with a thick layer of cushioning or an air bubble, you're eliminating a lot of that input. So think of your feet as a sensor, and immediately covering it with a bunch of cushioning or thick layers between you and the ground doesn't make as much sense anymore. The last thing I want to talk about, and probably one of the biggest points that I see in hindsight with people that have foot problems, is that your feet are a key to your independence, to your movement sovereignty, to your movement independence. And when you have foot pain, all you have to do is ask someone that's had really bad plantar fasciitis, and they'll tell you pretty sternly that they care about their feet now. Because sometimes it's easy to take for granted things until they're taken away from you. And when your feet are taken away from you in the form of getting intense foot pain anytime you stand up or move, you really realize how important your feet are for your movement independence. To be able to do the activities you love, to be able to move from point A to point B without requiring assistance, right? This is a deeply rooted part of our identity, is being able to be independent beings that don't require support to do the things we want to do, or just to accomplish our daily tasks of living an adult life. And so not caring about your feet can sometimes get you to the point where your feet become a problem, and then you start to get that independence taken away from you. So if you think of your feet as your foundation, as an important sensor for the body to guide optimal movement, and as a major pillar for your movement independence, I think those might be three good concepts to sit with to maybe build some interest in why you should care about your feet and want to take care of your feet by wearing natural footwear and by spending time barefoot. Thanks for watching.